Hey everybody, welcome to Back Porch Cooking and Reminiscing. I'm Roger, and as always, I'm happy to have y'all here with us today. So y'all, today we're going to be doing a collaboration, Marching In with Casseroles. It's hosted by Greg's Cumberlatcha Homestead. And Greg's been doing this for a number of years now. Now this year's collaboration of the is being sponsored by Keystone Meats. And that's a big deal to have a sponsor like them. So Greg has gotten together these different channels, and there is going to be 30 days of casseroles, and Greg's going to have them on his channel. I'm going to post a link to that. But now here's the big news is that at the end, on the 31st of March, Greg's going to do a giveaway. And now the way that the giveaway is going to work, and one person who comments on that video is going to win the prize package. So if you're watching, you better get in there and make a comment, because you never know, you could be the winner. So the prize pack is going to consist of these items. Greg is going to be giving away a casserole slow cooker, a casserole carrier, and a casserole dish with a cover. Little House Homestead is adding a homemade bread bag. And then Cooking with Bobby Joe will be contributing a Amazon gift card. And Keystone Meat is giving away a 6-pack of their canned meats. So again, y'all get on there and comment on this video. What we're going to be doing for our casserole dish for Marching In with Casseroles is we're going to be doing a 7-layer casserole. All right, y'all, so let's get started cooking on that. Now, the first thing that we want to do to start the process of making this casserole is to get our vegetables cut up for it. So we've got us some onion here, and we're going to just slice our onion up. And we're cutting these in like this kind of a piece. And you do want to kind of slice them a little thin. You don't want to get them too thick. And we're using one large onion, and I'm not going to make y'all watch me cut all the onion up, but just wanted you to be able to get the feel of the thickness that you wanted your onions. All right, we're going to chop us up some green bell pepper, and we're going to put about 1 full green pepper into this. I guess you would call this a finely diced. All right, so you can see about the size that we want to have our bell peppers in. Not very big, just small slices or dices. And now to get us some potatoes sliced up. And again, we're going to slice our potatoes. We're not going to make them too thick, because these are going to be going into the bottom of the casserole. And they're going to be the thing that has to have the most time to cook. Oh, and by the way, I didn't tell y'all. Again, we're using our HOSHANHO chef's knife, and they are still offering the 20% discount on the knife. So I'll leave the link in the directions for you, and if y'all want to go check it out and see if you might want to get you one of these, it'll be there for you. All right, like I say, I'm not gonna make y'all watch the whole thing here, but you can kind of see the thickness that we're cutting the potatoes. And once we finish these potatoes, the next thing is going to be to get our cheese grated. Last thing we got to do to get this prepped is to grate our cheese. I've already grated some of it, but just wanted y'all to see that we were grating our own cheese. Or you can get the store-bought already grated cheese. It's no big deal. It's just however you want to do it. What we're going to do now is, and we did use 2 different types of um, potatoes here because we had some we needed to get rid of. So we're just going to start building our first layer with potatoes. So we're just going to go with one even layer of potatoes. And you want to put a little bit of salt on your first layer of potatoes. Of course, y'all know how potatoes soaks up salt. And we'll put just a little bit of pepper on there. All right, and then the next thing we're going to layer on is going to be a layer of onion. So just get you a handful of onion, and so you want to use about half of your onions on this first layer. All right. I think that looks pretty good for our onions. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a layer of ground beef. And I didn't tell y'all, but before I started chopping the onions and the peppers and slicing the potatoes, I did go ahead and do the ground beef. And we're just going to spoon some of that ground beef all over the top of this. And my mama used to make this, and she'd take it to the church functions and the family reunions, and she'd make it for if we had company coming over sometimes, she'd make it for them, and always was a crowd pleaser. All right, just spread that out a little bit. Okay, now our next layer is going to be the minced green peppers. So we're just going to sprinkle some green pepper all around. And again, you want to use about half of what you got. All right, and we're going to come back with another little salt and pepper. And now we are going to layer it with some diced tomatoes. I'm going to use a spoon to do this because I don't want to just pour all the juice out everywhere. Now, growing up as a kid, when my mother would make this was not my most favorite part. Was the tomatoes. That's just something I really didn't care for, except like on a hamburger or maybe a bologna sandwich or something like that. But Mama always sprinkled them into this recipe. So use about a half a can of your tomatoes and just kind of spread them out so you got some about everywhere. And then our next layer is going to be some canned corn. And now again, use as much or as little as you want. That's got that. All right, so now we're going to start all over again. All right, so here we go with our next layer of potatoes, and we're going to do them just like we did the first layer. We're going to just lay them in there. And you may not use all these potatoes. I think Audrey said that on the potatoes it was about 2 to 3 large potatoes. All right, so now we got that layer of potatoes in, and we want to salt and pepper that layer. And then we're going to come back with the next layer of onions. Got a little bit too much there in that corner, so let's move some of those around. Now we about got all of our onions used up. Okay. And now we're going to come back with another layer of our ground beef. I want to get all of it out of there that I can. Alright, that's got all of our ground beef is in there. We'll come back with our last little bit of tomatoes and just sprinkle them all around. Now we're going to come back with another layer of bell pepper. All right, I think that'll be enough right there. And now the last thing, we're going to come back with the rest of our corn. Again, we're just going to sprinkle it all over. So it's a beautiful casserole. If my mom was still with us today, I'm sure she would have been happy to have come and made this for us herself. But unfortunately, she isn't. So we're going to do it in honor of her. All right, just kind of take a spoon and just kind of try to mash it out and kind of level it up and make sure that you don't have any high spots in it. And the reason why is because now comes the good part. We're going to throw us a bunch of cheese on there. Let's go ahead and give that just a little light sprinkling of salt. I think we got enough pepper in it. So, all right. So now we're going to get our grated cheese and we're going to put that on there. Then we'll be ready to go in the oven. All right, y'all. So now we love cheese. So I'm going to put a bunch of cheese on here. But again, you do you. If you just like a little bit of cheese, just put your little bit of cheese on there. All right, but this is the cheddar cheese that we grated a little while ago. We're just going to cover the top with it. All right, let's take our hand and just kind of smooth this out a little bit and see where we're at on it. If we got any holes we need to fill up. But it's getting close to being finished here. All right, y'all. So there we got it. Just kind of press down a little bit and make sure all your cheese is inside your container and not hanging over so you don't have a mess when you get it in the oven. And now we're going to wrap it in foil and we're going to put it in the oven at 375 for an hour and a half. Now, at an hour and 15 minutes, come and take the foil off of it and let the cheese kind of start to brown a little bit. It'll be beautiful when you take it out. Our casserole's been in the oven for an hour and 15 minutes and took the aluminum foil off. We're going back in the oven 15 minutes. And once that cheese is getting a little bit of brownness to it, we'll be ready to take it out. And once you take it out, you do leave it sit for about 30 minutes before you start cutting into it. So I'm going to get it back in the oven. And because everybody's oven's a little bit different, it did take about 20 minutes to get this little bit of brownness on the top. So it may take you 15 minutes, may take you 20. It just depends on how brown you want it to be. But we've taken it out. And when you take it out, it's going to be super bubbly, especially around the edges. And that's what you want. So now we're going to leave it sit for about 30 minutes. Then we'll come back, we'll cut us a piece out, and we'll give it a taste. I can't wait because it smells delicious. So y'all, there's our finished plate, our 7-layer casserole. Well, it's time to give it a taste and see how it is. And I'm already positive that it's very good. And by the way, the serving suggestion says that this makes 6 servings. All right, so I'm ready to give it a try. Y'all, I have to say that is one delicious casserole. Remember, it's a 7-layer casserole, and if you'll make this for your family, they'll love you for it. So, as I always tell you, make it for your family, share it with your friends. They'll be excited to have something like this. And y'all have a great one. Appreciate you watching. And we will see you next time.